Hey, John here. So in this video, I'm just going to show you what I'm practicing currently, and you can take this approach and try it out in your own practice. And this pretty much works for any level. If you can play a pentatonic scale, you should be able to get through this with some modifications so it works for your level. But the actual way of doing this is very helpful, I think, because you can go through new sequences and also get better at visualizing whatever type of fretboard organization you use, meaning 2 notes per string, 3 notes per string, cage system, or whatever. So what I'm going to do today is 2 different legato patterns. It's going to be this one, and that's basically, if we number the fingers here from left to right, 1, 2, 3. We have 1, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3. So 1, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3. And the second one is going to be this old Yngwie type pattern. Again, numbering the fingers from left to right. 1, 2, 3. It's going to be 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. And what I generally do is to first go through it as sort of a warm-up, but it's all a warm-up really, or a technique exercise for me, because I don't tend to play very fast when I practice technique. I focus on getting it as clean as possible so I can program the technique correctly. And then when I'm done with that, as a treat, I can just play around, and if I screw some notes up, it's no big deal, because I got most of my practice time is going to be good reps anyway. So this sort of pushing of the speed afterwards will just be helping me. All right, so basically what I would do is start with this 4-finger positioning, and I'm going to do it here from the 5th fret so you can see what I'm doing. And then I'm dividing in this case, since it's a 3-finger type of a pattern, I'm going to divide my left hand into 4 different 3-finger fingerings. A lot of numbers here, but that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. Just to get used to the sequence itself. And also making sure that I get to practice with 1, 2, 3 and 2, 3, 4. Most other normal scale patterns will have you using 1, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 4. And yes, I consider this is still 1, 2, 4 for me. It doesn't matter that I have an extra fret in between, still the same feel in my left hand. So that said, so we'll just start by going very slowly with 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to do the first sequence going up. Then I would shift up 1 fret and then go down with the other one. So then start with 1, 2, 4. Shift up, and when I do this for real, I don't really stop here. I just go right. And now, even though I could go, I don't want to do that when I practice. I want to make sure that I really solidify the correct technique here. And the correct technique, this is just what I consider the correct for me. And that's basically being mostly on my fingertips, at least as much as I can, while still being able to mute the string right below. And also really trying to hit that same spot on the finger every time, so I build consistency. Kind of like a drummer. If you have a good drummer, you will generally see like a very small area on the snare drum, for example, where he's been hitting it. So that just builds more accuracy. So that's also why I want to focus on doing this slowly. And I actually practice even slower than what I do here. So I'll probably go even as far as, really holding the tempo at a very low low pace, because if I go faster, then I can actually control my fingers. Even though I can do that, I can't really change my technique from this point. it's gonna be what it's gonna be, right? Either it's gonna work or it's not gonna work. And I found that I can get my playing up to speed much faster and cleaner if I focus primarily on practicing slowly. But I also do this with fast finger motions. This what's called transition speed. So I don't go super slow in between the notes. I just try to not play as many notes per minute, if that makes sense. So it's quite distinctive finger motions. It's not something slow like that, right? So, and I can only do that at quite a slow tempo to be able to control that, because past a certain tempo, even doing this, it's very hard to get the same control in the transition speed as it is here. And transition speed has been a very important thing for my technique overall, and that goes for any technique. Anyway, so you do 1, 2, 4, and then I would go do the same thing with 1, 3, 4. You know the drill. Then 1, 2, 3, 4. So no one's favorite, and I definitely wouldn't do it at that speed, like I said. Back in the day, I used to have real issues with fast alternate picking when it came to 2 notes per string. I was fine with 3 notes per string, but the 2 notes per string thing was a bit harder to crack. So if you struggle with fast alternate picking as well, and you don't know what to practice or for how long, I've created the perfect solution for you in the form of the Pentatonic Picking Power Book. So in this book, you'll find a daily workout that will not only help your pentatonic picking, but will also upgrade your overall alternate picking technique. So it contains basically the same exercises I use myself to develop my picking abilities, as well as numerous students over the years that I've given the same exercise to with great results. So if you're up for a big alternate picking upgrade, I cannot think of a better start. Once I've done that, I might do it in another position as well. But pretty quickly, I will go straight into working on the actual scales. And like I said before, this is going to be based on 3 note per string scales. Then I just take whatever scale and tonality I want to work on. So let's say we're keeping it a bit fancy here, so the A melodic minor. I would start at the lowest available position, which would be the 6th scale degree, F sharp here. But just for demonstrational purposes, I'm going to do it here from the root note. So this shape will go like this. So you have 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then keep going like that. So then shift that up to the next position. But whatever level you're at, if you're working on the major scales, do that with those fingerings instead. So you don't need to do melodic minor. It doesn't really make sense to go for melodic minor if you're not really comfortable with the regular modes, including the major and normal minor scale. So again, don't feel that you have to do whatever scale I'm doing here. The point is the actual setup of this way of practicing. And this goes beyond the technique as well. I just happen to do more of a left hand thing today, or a fretting hand thing. The way that I organize this after I'm done with my sort of warm-up is to take the scale patterns I'm going to work on. And in this case, instead of a 7-note pattern, I get 7 different positions, but they overlap or restart here after the 12th fret. But I'm using 2 positions at a time here. And that's going to mean that I can do, on my 24 fret guitar, I can do 10 different positions. If you have 22 frets, you will only get away with 9. So, but the math is still very easy. And what I mean by math here is that I can tailor my practice session to however much time I think this exercise is worth, and or how much time I have to play with that day. If I would be practicing this for real now in front of you, which I won't do, I will start here at the lowest available position, so the 2nd fret, but I'm going to start it from here now, just so you know, so don't skip it down here. Start at the lowest available note that you can fret. So just repeat it for however many minutes I've put the timer on for, and in this case it would be 2 minutes. I will just start here, again doing it very slowly. and so on. You get the idea. And depending on how much time I'm spending in each position, I'm going to get X amount of reps in. But I don't really care about that. And I like using a timer for this purpose, because then I won't really care about the speed I'm practicing at. Because if you set up, for example, oh, I'm going to do 10 reps in each position, that means that the faster you do it, the faster you will be done. And that's very tricky sometimes, because that can sort of push you into a tempo where you're not in full control, like I talked about before, because you want to get done sooner. So think quality here over quantity. So 2 minutes, if I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 reps, I don't care, as long as the reps are perfect. And also, if I make a mistake somewhere, I will repeat that string set a few times, and then keep repeating the whole thing again. So I don't just leave it. If I do something like what happened there, all right, then I will make sure I get that before I keep on repeating the whole thing. Just a couple of times is enough to correct that mistake. So then the timer goes off, and then I move on to the next position. And like I said, on a 24 fret guitar, I get 10 positions, so that's an easy 20 minutes spent on this. And if you have more time and you think it's worth more time, you can do 3 minutes per position, half an hour, and so on. Whatever you're working on, if you do it this way, like I said, you do the sort of dummy fingering version of it first, or I just call it mechanical practice, and as a slight warm-up, and then you divide however many positions you'll be using for whatever sequence you're working on, and then you can see like, oh, okay, so I'm doing the pentatonic scale, for example. So if we do the A minor pentatonic, I would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 starting points in that case. So if I do 3 minutes in each position, 21 minutes plus the warm-up. And for the warm-up actually, and I keep calling this a warm-up, but it's not really a warm-up, but for the mechanical practice for 2 notes per string, let's say you're working on something like I would divide the left hand into 6 2-finger fingerings. So that would be 1, 2. Let's do it like this. Straight into 1, 3. Then 1, 4. 2, 3. 2, 4. And finally 3, 4. And you get the idea, hopefully. So depending on what I'm working on, the mechanical practice will be a bit different. So hopefully this is clear. So the important thing here is not necessarily the exact exercise or sequence I was playing here. It's more about the concept of how you can make up a practice session for yourself pretty easily with sort of this mechanical warm-up thing first, and then get straight into some scale pattern you feel like you want to improve on, and you can do that while actually improving your technique at the same time, but without overwhelming yourself, because you're not just playing it all over the fretboard right away. Instead, you're going to be sticking to one position at a time depending on the sequence, or combined positions like this. So I find this way of organizing my practice really helpful, because you sort of get this inbuilt systematic feel to it without it getting boring, because you get to experience new things on a fairly regular interval. And I find that's very important when it comes to practicing, because if you do something that's super boring the whole time, even if it's effective, it can be quite tricky to improve from that, because chances are you won't actually do it consistently enough to see improvement. So we kind of need to find a middle way here, where we can really focus on the technique to get better, but also find something that at least is a little bit challenging when you do it, so you have to focus on it instead of just sitting there mindlessly doing something. So that's been the best balance for me, because I've found that the more I focus on what I'm actually doing, meaning listening to what I'm doing and trying to really feel what it feels like when I do it what I consider correctly for my body, then the improvement is so much quicker. So give this a try. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, see you in the next video.